senior scientific manager, and he has joined this company a long back. And after his PhD in molecular pharmacology and toxicology from the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, and from the same place he has done his MS in regulatory science and MS in pharmaceutical sciences in 2010 and 2013 respectively. And he is from the pharma background. He has done the Bachelor of Pharmacy from the University of Pune, and he has worked on multiple projects in project management, molecular biology, and regulatory. And his citations are more than 500. His H index papers are more than 10. Even I index is more than 10. His one of the most cited article is having more than 100. Actually, not one, two articles are having more than 100 citations. So I'll not take much time. I'll hand over the session to Dr. Amit Agarwal. Thank you very much, Dr. Amit, for joining us for this wonderful evening to celebrate the International Clinical Trial Day 2025 with us. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Amit.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. My pleasure to be here to deliver this talk and to have this chat with the students as well as all the accomplished members here. Um, I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation around clinical trials as well as how AI is now transforming clinical trials as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see this. Just make it full screen. That's all. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, as we mentioned, I'm going to talk today about AI revolutionizing clinical trials. And this is something which is, I mean, a lot of you may already know about this thing. We all know that clinical trials are inherently very risky, time consuming, and as well as expensive. And these have been problems for a long time now. And the reason why there is excitement around AI with in clinical trials, especially apart from everything else, is also because how AI can work on each of these problems actually. So it can help to reduce risk, and I'll talk about that how it is doing that. It can help to reduce time that it takes to conduct a clinical trial, be it recruitment, be it measuring outcomes, be it how the patients are set up in the trial, what kind of biomarkers are measured. All of these things can be impacted with AI. And also the expensive part, when time reduces, definitely the expenses come down. But not only that, now with virtual clinical trials as well as a lot of innovative ways in which trials are being conducted, definitely there has been a downside on the expense part as well. So there's almost billions of dollars that are expended by pharma companies for developing new drugs. uh, if you guys would check into the last year's records or over the last few years as well, you will see that there's hardly less than 1% of the drugs which get approved. uh, so if you see how many drugs got approved by the FDA, by the US FDA last year, it's actually around 50. So every year around 50 drugs get approved, whereas more than 8,000 drugs go into clinical trial each year. So the number, in fact, the efficacy is very, very low in terms of how many drugs actually get approved. So all that failure, all the drugs that fail, that's a significant loss of time, energy, money, everything. And even one person impact on this can have a significant impact on companies' bottom lines, on how new therapies are coming up. It will impact everything. So that's how important then it becomes when we look at AI and how it can affect things within the clinical trial space. So we know that a lot of these failures are also associated with recruitment targets not being met. So almost 86%, and this is the major portion for any main reason why trials fail, basically why drugs fail as well. So most of them, they do not meet the recruitment targets, and that is the major reason. Apart from that, there is of course dropout rates as well as limited efficacy, but those are much lesser. um, but if you look at how this thing is being used in pharma and biotech teams and how they are trying to de-risk. First and foremost is, of course, identifying trial sites and PIs, investigators. So, patient recruitment, as we know, is a big challenge. One of the major, or the major reason why trials fail. Here, there is significant impact that AI is bringing out, and that is through, not only simplifying how patients are recruited, but also matching the right patients with the right trials. So, with social media and all of these, now it has become also easier to be able to track a person who is having a particular disease, or who may benefit from a certain trial. So identifying and matching eligible patients, also, identifying sites, when there are 20 different sites in which one clinical study is performed, usually, or most of the times, it's not like every site recruits the same amount of patients. All the sites are not equivalent in that sense, and that's why identifying the right sites which are always, be able to meet the recruitment targets, is able to understand a complex trial protocol. So these are very important things when a trial is conducted. And so, this is again another area which can help in improving patient recruitment, as well as how the trial is set up. Investigators, again, you would have seen that certain doctors are preferred by certain companies. Some of the doctors are preferred by a lot of companies, and that is because they are able to perform or conduct the trials in a particular way. And that's why there are a lot of regulations, of course, around these things, and not everybody is able to follow them. So it's also important to select the right investigator. So these are some of the things within the recruitment space. I'll also give some examples of how we have done this, with real life examples of how we have done this through our company, in the next few slides. But this is just an overview of each of these different stages being affected by AI. Uh, we have next as clinical trial design, and this is where also again AI is playing a major role, because how do you set up a trial? It has, at least 100 different things with respect to the masking, the allocations of the patients, how you are setting up the trial in terms of, is it open label, how it should be, all of these things play a major role in defining the trial success as well. And so we perform a lot of simulations as well of trial scenarios. So it's not possible always to try everything, right? So we can simulate a lot of scenarios within trials using AI, and then predict what could potentially be happening and what could be the best possible trial design, which has the highest chances of success. And that is how AI can transform designing of clinical trials as well. There is also a lot of historical data. So if you look at usclinicaltrials.gov registry, so there are at least 5 to 6 lakhs trials there listed already. Of course, other registries, India CTRI, and in EMEA, you will find more such trials as well. But from these 6 lakh trials, there is already a lot of information which is out there, from which you can learn and design the next trial. So how we can summarize this information, how we can collect all of this historical data in an easy to understand form, as well as use insights from these to take our next step, or take an action to derive actionable insights from this kind of data. That is where AI utilizes a lot of analytics, a lot of patterns and insights recognition, which help to conduct a better trial as well. So to learn from historical data. So this is again another example where AI can help. And fourth, which is the most important, I would say, where conducting a clinical trial is basically to make sure that the trial succeeds, right? So how can you do that, and can you predict if the trial will succeed or not? This is something again on which we and many others have also trained models, AI models, uh, which can take an input of a clinical trial ID, and then based on it, it can predict if this trial would succeed or not. And I'll also go a bit deeper to show you how exactly this is done. But taking some of the examples here, this is one article from a recent paper, where they showed how, I think somebody was also asking in the from the previous discussion about how EHR data can be used, right, for patient recruitment. So this is a study which was performed on data extraction from EMR, from electronic medical records. and then using them for patient recruitment. So a lot of data in electronic health records or in any health record is in the unstructured form. And when I say unstructured, it basically means in the form of a text, which is not having any particular field. Like if we say name Amit Agarwal, so that is kind of a structured information. But when doctors take notes, or when reports are generated of patients in the hospitals, you would see that there are a lot of those things are in a very unstructured form. A doctor writes paragraphs of information based on how the treatment is shaping up. There is a prescription of the drugs that the person is supposed to take, right? So a lot of this data remains in an unstructured form. um, and you can use a lot of AI, and recently now with LLMs, large language models, these are able to, I'm sure all of you must have used ChatGPT and Gemini and the likes. So these models are able to understand this textual language and then reason out of it, to also be able to make sense of that information, and being able to use that information for further decision making, right? So there are two types of records within EMR also. There are structured as well as unstructured data. Structured data is where if it's a report, then what was the parameter tested, how much was the value, what should be the range. This is structured information. If it is unstructured, it is those doctor notes, right, which the doctor writes in a form of paragraph. You have to read it to understand. AI also needs to read it and then generate or extract specific information. What drug was prescribed, what disease was diagnosed, these kind of things, right? So all of this is done through OCR. This is object content recognition, and then de-identified. De-identified meaning you take out all the information which can directly identify the patient, like the name, the hospital, the address, the age, all of these specific patient health, personal health information. You can de-identify that so that it does not impinge on patients' privacy. And then on the structured variables, these can be directly used. But then both of these could be fed into NLP. NLP is natural language processing. So based on how it is written in a natural language, you can combine this information and then also leverage medical ontology. So a lot of times ontology, again, it just basically means a session, a kind of a dictionary, but not in the sense of a word and its meaning, but more in the sense of a word and its synonyms. So lung cancer, triple negative breast cancer, what does each of these disease mean? That is what goes into the ontology. And every doctor may use a different term for the same disease, maybe, right? So at that point of time, how the AI can recognize that this is the same disease that both the doctors are talking about, that is where you can use medical ontology. And when you combine this with symbolic reasoning, then you can have a strong system which can understand this information to very easily go through all the data and then pick out patients who are relevant for a given study. So what this article actually showed was retrieval and generation capabilities. So going getting out some chunk of information, and then on top of it applying LLMs to understand that information to extract specific variables like surgeries and response and the stage of disease. Those can be performed better when there is retrieval and then you apply LLM rather than directly applying LLM. And also that commercially free LLMs can do it very similar or at a comparable rate to commercial counterparts as well. So I think these are very strong findings from this article. But basically, the way this helps is when there are, let's say, thousands of patients' data in an unstructured form, and the hospital, if I have to do it manually, the hospital or some person would have to go through each of these records, identify what this patient was suffering from, what stage of disease, all of this information. And then when a trial comes in, to match that trial with this record and see that if this patient will suit for this particular trial or not. All of this can be replaced if we do this through AI, where AI can understand which kind of patients are available in the database, in the system, and then based on the trial requirements, it can pick up the records which are relevant or which are matching to the trial requirements. And then based on that, we can identify patients in a much faster way to take up ahead for clinical trials. So this is how EMR data extraction can be accelerated and used using AI. So this is one example. Next is how we can optimize study protocols, and this is where we can design study protocols or optimize the trial design, which I was talking about. So this was a prostate cancer program in phase 3 study that we optimized, where we used our trial prediction engine to analyze more than 827 prostate cancer trials, and we identified the most optimal features. So from these 800 or so trials, we know what are the usual inclusion exclusion criteria, what are the endpoints, what are operational features, how many sites are usually enrolled, how many investigators are involved, what is the duration of the trial. All of this information we know from these 800 trials, let's say. Now if I read up on all of these trials, I would be able to understand what is the range in which I should be designing my new trial, right? So rather than having to do that, we can have AI go through those 800 or more trials and also simulate on each of these parameters to come up with the right trial protocol. So I don't know if this is visible, but what is shown in through these graphs is that features can contribute in a positive or in a negative way to the final outcome, but you can simulate and find optimal ranges. So this is about how much should be the time frame, how in months should it be, 10 month, 20 month, 40 month of response time, how many number of sites should be involved. So based on that, we can make a prediction that okay, if we have 20 sites rather than 45, we have a better chance of the trial succeeding, because from those 800 trials, at least 600 of those had around 15 to 25 sites, right? So that is how this information can be utilized, and the model can learn which kind of trials succeed and which kind of trials don't succeed. So we have also labeled trials that have succeeded and that have not succeeded, so that model can learn about this information, that what is the usual range for how many patients should be enrolled for a trial, so that it has better chances of success. So using that, you can generate a complete protocol of what should be the most ideal protocol to conduct a clinical trial in. Okay, so this is another example for a pharma company that we did, and within 8 weeks we could provide them an improvised design from what they had, and based on that they started the clinical trial as well, doing this. The third is as I was talking about, how we can analyze historical data, more than 5 lakh trials that are in the clinical trial registry on US clinicaltrials.gov. What kind of insights can be generated, right? So maybe I'll also show you the platform that we have, to just give you an idea of how it works. So this is one of our products called OntoSite Terminal. It actually has a terminal for clinical trials, and this if I just search with a disease like Parkinson's disease, let's say, I can evaluate. Um, I can evaluate all of these different insights just based on the disease. So this is a snapshot of all the different trials. There are 2,233 trials in progress, 4,200 or so completed, percent-wise breakup. I can see sponsors, how many are industry sponsored, how many are hospitals and research institute sponsored. What is the enrollment status? So total estimated enrollment is 9.5 million. Actual enrollment is 7.62. So good number of patients are being enrolled. Different phase wise, how many were actually enrolled and how many were estimated to enroll, so you can get to see if there are any specific phases in which you see a lot less recruitment. And I think in phase 2 here you can see only 16% met its targets, whereas in other phases it's more. So you can draw out such kind of insights. You can look at all the different types of drugs that have been studied, so carbidopa and levodopa coming at the top here as expected. This is a geographical view of all the different countries and how many trials are conducted in each of those countries as well. Phase wise breakdown, we can see, and also endpoints analytics. So in different phases of what are the different endpoints that are being measured. So as you can imagine, in phase 1 it's mostly safety. In phase 2 it's cognitive function, adverse events, as well. In phase 3 mainly severity of the disease, safety and tolerability also. So that way we can generate all of this insight just as at a click. We search with a disease, a drug, or anything specific, and we can get to look at the historical data. We can also filter this with different type with different registries if we want to. Japanese registry, Mexican or any specific country registry. We have all the information that we have collected for this database here, and there are multiple different filters that we can play around. There is also a list view in which we can look at more detailed information for each of these trials, and the analytics view in which we see the graphs then. So this is an example of such kind of database where you can, again, this is using a lot of AI and engineering tools to compile this information, to bring this together in an analytical form which can be easily consumed and utilized for further evaluations. So coming back to my presentation here, yeah, so this was again another example in which AI tools can be used. And lastly, as I was talking about predicting clinical trial success, so this is again something which we do where we use a lot of information from a digital universe. This is all the clinical trials. This is 800, more than 8 lakh trials, because we are also including trials from other registries apart from the US clinicaltrial.gov, investigators information, congress articles, publications, thesis, patents. And then we have more than 300 parameters on which we evaluate each of these trials. And those parameters or groupings are listed here based on drug, the indication properties, the design of the study, investigators and sites, the history of the sponsor, patient selection criteria, inclusion exclusion criteria, what is the kind of evidence available in the literature, and then peripheral trial information. And based on this, we can predict probability of success as well as trial design. We have almost 85,000 trials for which we know the outcome. We know that these trials passed or these trials failed. And based on this labeling, we have trained a model. So it understands which kind of features are helpful for trials to succeed and which kind of features are not helpful. And based on this, it can do a prediction with more than 80% accuracy. So currently, we have a model which is about 81% accurate in terms of predicting if the trial would succeed or not. And this has been proven with the back testing. So we made predictions of trials which are about to end in the next 6 months or so. And so once those were completed, we checked with our predictions, and there were match of more than 80% of those trials as well. Just give you a slightly more details. These are all the different features of the 300 more features I was talking about on each of these parameters. And what we are able to basically predict from these trials is the most important parameters of success, like which is it the number of sites that is contributing to the trial being having high probability of success, or is the number of patient target too high that because of which it is likely to fail. We can answer such kind of questions. We can also know which investigators will improve success probability, so we can evaluate specific people who are involved in the trial. And we also have a separate analysis which can provide which investigators have a good history for which their trials have succeeded and which ones do not. Of course, it depends a lot on the drug as well on which the trial is being performed, and that is the main driver. But these are also peripheral factors which impact on trial success as well. So in those lines, we can predict, and we can also evaluate for the study sites, for enrollment time, for endpoints, as well as the kind of patient subgroups, the inclusion exclusion criteria, what kind of criteria should be used, and based on that we can do predictions as well. So these are all the different types of models and their accuracies. But yeah, we can go into more details if you have questions on that as well. So this is how AI is being used to predict on the outcome of clinical trial. For any ongoing clinical trial currently, we can do this prediction within a few seconds to know if this trial would succeed or not using this kind of model. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, please,
Uh,
I'll be happy to
Thank you
answer.
very much, Dr. Agrawal, for this wonderful session. And it was really amazing. Like the students, the participants, everyone who is here got the real-time experiences of AI utilization in clinical trials. So I hope you guys got the real fizz out of this, session, guys. So let me open for your questions. Now you can type your questions and please ask your questions to Dr. Amit. And I will be taking some questions. Uh, as AI clinical site, how to increase patient pool recruitment using AI?
Mhm. Yeah, you know, a lot of the challenge that is faced while increasing the pool is mostly being able to collect this information and store them in a format that it can be usable when a trial comes in, right? So data collection is where I think this AI can be useful, so that you don't have to actually go through all of these details to match the right patient with the right trial. So this is about how the data is collected and how this patient's information is stored. So if that is done correctly, I think that can really accelerate to increase your pool of patients as well. So of course you need to have the footfall of the patients as well, but that is how it can significantly impact.
Yeah, the people in YouTube also can write the questions, guys, if you are having the questions. Okay, so one question is here. Good evening, sir. Can we completely trust AI predicted data, or is there any requirements to cross-check?
No, definitely. I think no AI is as smart as humans till now. So
Absolutely.
we have to cross check it. But as we showed, like it is predicting with more than 80% accuracy. You know, a student scoring more than 80% marks, I think we would be happy about that. So we should definitely be the same with AI as well. But I'm sure it will improve from here also. I think as we go by, this will continue to improve further.
Yes, I will combine two questions from Aisa and Shravani. What type of job roles available in the AI for pharmacy students right now, and what could be the starting salary, and what's the procedure to get into it?
Okay, so see, for pharmacy students, I think with respect to clinical research and with respect to all the different subjects that you study, you get really a good overview of all the different things that happen. Nothing in clinical trials is something which will be very new for you. You know about drugs, you know about the pharmacology, the mechanism, you know about the chemistry of the drug, how it was designed, how it was generated, and then about the setup of the trial. You also understand why, statistically, how certain things are to be measured, and all those the disease specific information as well. So in terms of AI is nothing but it's kind of an aid. It's a helpful tool for you to be able to do what you're doing better, right? So you have to treat it as a tool. Also, it's not to be looked up as a magic wand which will, solve all the problems. It is your kind of a assistant which will answer the questions, and that answer will also depend on how smart the questions are. So you will have to try and get the right information using AI, and there are multiple tools to be able to do that. There are lots of courses which can help you do that. You can also read up on a lot of articles where they have used AI, some of them which I showed today. But like this, there is a lot of research and a lot of work happening in this area, and using that you can really set up yourself to be able to contribute to this field. Um, processes, jobs and all, I think these are based on, you can try to do some projects and some sort of assignments on your own as well, based on information publicly available, what can be available online, as well as on certain websites. You will get to see projects which can utilize data, clinical trial data, and use AI to make sense of it, or to generate specific information that can help you show some experience, or even if you are able to show as a fresher that you understand clinical trials and how they work, and what are the details involved, that could help you to get that first position in this kind of a role. The process remains very similar to most of the companies. You can continue checking their job boards, visit their websites, use LinkedIn to network as well, and then apply for those jobs and try to showcase your skills, how you can be relevant for that position, and that could usually help.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you. The next question is from Swastik Sinha. Sir, you mentioned once there might be several terminologies for one disease. How come AI gonna detect it? I think he did not get it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if you even go to ChatGPT today, and if you ask for if you give multiple names for the same disease, it is able to understand that. Now this is because chat gpt and these kind of models, these are called as large language models. Now imagine somebody um, who has been asked to read up of all the books that are available on this earth, and that way it has all the information and the knowledge from that information. So that model basically understands all of this data, and based on that it is able to answer and able to link that you are talking about the same disease when you're using different words. So this is the power of large language models. But before we had large language models, this whole field dependent on ontologies. So ontology is basically a directory of a term and its synonyms. So any word and what are the different ways in which the same word it can be called with, that is basically an ontology. And people use this kind of a limited set of information to train a model so that it can understand when I'm saying EGFR or epidermal growth factor receptor, it has to understand it is the same thing. That was done through ontologies. Now with LLMs, they already know all this information because it has come across this from multiple data that it has been trained on.
Yes. Serene is asking a question. What are the limitations of AI-driven patient recruitment? How can the bias in training data affect trials and trial outcomes by AI?
Okay. So how can, sorry, the first question was in
What
recruitment,
are
how
the
it can.
limitations of AI-driven patient recruitments?
Huh. So for patient recruitment, of course, AI would understand most of it, but you cannot expect AI to understand everything about a patient, right? So when you are recruiting patients, a lot of patients will have specific information with respect to, let's say, a comorbidity, or with respect to a particular severity of a disease. So these may not be specific aspects that the AI would be able to learn when it is trained on a specific kind of a problem statement, when it is trying to match a specific disease for patient recruitment or specific trial for patient recruitment. So these could be some of the limitations. And then I forgot the next questions, I think.
Next question was, how can the bias in training data affect trial outcomes in AI?
Right. Huh.
By AI.
So as I was showing, 85,000 trials that we use to train the model, right? If we had all 85,000, or let's say 60,000 trials are passing trials, are succeeding trials, and only 20,000 which are failed, that creates a bias because the model is learning more when the trials succeed rather than when the trials fail. So that it's important that your training data should be balanced. It should have equal number of succeeding trials as well as equal number of failed trials, so that it can learn equally. It is not biased towards one particular area. So this is an example of how some bias can be introduced.
Yeah, we'll take one or two more questions. Then we are
Mhm.
our next speaker is waiting. So next question is from Dr. Anjana. How can pharmacy knowledge contribute to the creation, management, and optimization of healthcare databases like you showed?
Definitely, it's a lot of help, because you would understand what is the meaning of, let's say, different stages of clinical trial. You would understand what is the meaning of the inclusion exclusion criteria, specific terminologies which have to be met, right? Patient recruitment requirements. You would also understand primary outcomes, secondary outcomes. You would understand the meaning of them as well. Without understanding these, it's not possible to build this kind of database. There is always a domain person involved here. And pharmacy people are the best because they have understanding of the drugs as well as the disease, as well as the clinical trials. So they have a holistic view of all the things, and that's why they are the most important people, I think.
Yes, yes, fantastic. And okay, so I think we'll not take technical questions, guys. Um, Kunal and many others have asked, sir, please share some AI tools, names, and some skills that are used, and we should study what could be beneficial for the students. We'll take this last as last question.
Sure. So, in terms of tools, see, I think you will have to, if you really want to learn AI or apply data science models, then you will have to learn something like a Python language.
Yes.
But if you are interested in that, I think as freshers, I think this is the right time you should get into that. Although I know with LLMs and a lot of other developments, learning Python is also not a requirement, but it will definitely help if you know Python. So learning a computer language would be helpful, so that you can build your own models, you can construct data in that form, and then and try out different things in that AI within the space as well. So it will also help you to understand what this field is about, and how people are utilizing. In fact, this combination of knowing technical skill like Python, plus the biology and the pharmacy understanding, will really give you a strong edge when you're looking for jobs as well.
Yes, so thank you, Dr. Amit, for the wonderful talk, and it was really insightful. And I hope the students got a lot of insights. So, with that, I would just like to, uh, present that, guys. We also, run the similar as Dr. Amit has just, said what you have to learn and all. We have this diploma, 6 month skill development value-added diploma course in artificial intelligence and machine learning for clinical research and pharmaceutical industry. And that is we have two courses in that. One is basic, one is advanced. And if you look into the syllabus, this is all Python for pharma, data manipulation, statistical analysis for pharma, machine learning basics, and then the capstone project. And then in the advanced, we have deep learning for pharma and NLP, and deep learning for pharma, again GitHub collaborations, advanced AI project. So we have all this, and we are modifying every year because we run just two batches every year. For last 2 years we are running it. So this year we are launching our fifth batch in June. So if you're interested, you can join us definitely. But along with that, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your questions, and thank you, Dr. Amit, for this wonderful session. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And guys, so we will move on to the next session. Next session is by Dr. Nisa. Okay, so yeah. Next session is on the latest Indian clinical trial guidelines by Ms. Nisa Abdul Kader. So, Ms. Nisa is working as the Research Associate 3 at MAHE ICMR Technical Resource Center for Evidence Synthesis at Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. She is a medical biochemist with a very strong academic and research credentials, currently serving as, as I told, Research Associate 3 at TRC of Evidence Synthesis. So nearing completion of the doctoral research in nephrology, focused on community-based studies of chronic kidney disease progression. So she demonstrated the abilities to independently manage the research projects, collaborate within interdisciplinary teams, and adapt to evolving the scientific methodologies. So, she has a vast experience in, microbiology, biochemistry, and then in nephrology. So with that, guys, I'll not delay it. I will, hand over the session to Ms. Nisa. Over to you, Ms. Nisa.